Okay, I'm going to open up the meeting. It's 5 o'clock and we need to do a roll call. Michelle Keith is present. Emily Michelle Olmsted.
Present.
Okay, and Richard Romero. Okay, I'm not sure if Richard will be showing up, but I just want to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded. Our first appointment is not until 5:02, but that first appointment is for Louisa Sousa, Plat 146, Lot 9 on 11 Alden Avenue, Dartmouth, Mass. And they are requesting a domestic animal permit for 60 pigeons, 50 chickens, 3 roosters, 4 goats, 3 geese, and 3 rabbits. So we can't really start that appointment until 5:02, but at least I have the, the notations down. What do you think about this windstorm that we're having? Pretty incredible.
It's wild.
How is it up in Dartmouth? I'm down on the Cape and it's pretty intense down here. Is it pretty intense up there?
It is. It is. And Madam Chair, our third member appears to have joined us, according to Zoom.
Oh, great. Richard Romero, are you present?
What?
Richard, unmute yourself.
Go. Sorry.
Okay.
Hey.
And for the roll call attendance, are you present?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So all 3 Board of Health members are present. And we can start our first appointment at 5:02. I already read the specifics of this particular permit into the record. Is somebody from Louisa Sousa's request here? For 11 Alden Ave, if you're speaking, you're not unmuted.
What?
Hello? Is somebody here for the animal permit that's requested for 11 Alden Avenue in Dartmouth?
The animal control officer, animal inspector Sandra Goslin is on.
Okay. Sandra, do you want to give us an update on this?
Well, Mrs. Sousa has acquired the home from her friend. They've had animals there for quite some time. I have no problems with the permit. Very well taken care of piece of property.
Okay, that's fantastic. Emily, Michelle, and Richard, do you have any comments or questions?
This is the one on Alden Ave, correct?
Yes, it's the 60 pigeons, 15 chickens, 3 roosters, 4 goats, 3 geese, and 3 rabbits. Okay. And our animal control officer seems to think that everything's in order.
I have no issues with it then.
Emily, Michelle?
No, thank you to our animal control officer for the comment.
Chris, do you have any comments?
Yes, so the only thing is, Sandy, this is the permit they are requesting, roosters. So I would just ask the board to condition this permit until June 30th of 2025. That way it will allow us to assess the applicant's ability to keep the roosters without creating noise nuisance. And if they can't, then it would allow the board not to renew, and they would have to address the roosters. They would have to remove the roosters. So the reason why I request that long is it really isn't until May and June when roosters begin to create problems, because it's the warmer season and the early sunrise. This time of the year, people's windows are closed and sunrise is, 7 o'clock. So, if they're crowing at 6, most people's windows are closed in December, January, February, March. So that's all.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes 100% sense. Would somebody like to put forward a motion?
Yes, and Madam Chair, may I ask the health agent really quick clarification for that condition?
Mm-hmm.
So Chris, so then we would, if we so move as a board, we would say with the condition that the permit is in place until June 30th, 2025 to reevaluate the roosters. Is that good wording?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so I'll give it a go. So finding that the animal control officer says that there are no issues, I move to approve the animal permit for Luisa Souza, plat 146, lot 9, 11 Alden Avenue, with the condition that this is in place until June 30th, 2025, so that we can reevaluate the roosters.
Could we have a second?
I second that motion.
Fantastic. Michelle Keith votes yes. Emily Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Richard Romero, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Fantastic. Motion passes. And now we do not have our next appointment until 5:07, but I will read the specifics into the record. It's for a permit requested by Heather Cronin, plat 66, lot 40 on 1289 Reed Road in Dartmouth. And they're requesting a permit for 6 horses. So we have another minute and then we can open it up for discussion. Is somebody from Heather Cronin's party here to represent them or speak about it?
There's somebody waving their hand. Heather?
Let's see here, Heather.
She
Okay,
needs
Heather,
to
you want to
unmute herself.
unmute yourself? Can you unmute yourself?
I haven't done Zoom. Oh,
Okay, fantastic.
ta-da!
That's great. We have to
Hello.
wait till 5:07 though to begin the actual discussion.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure I was here.
Thank you for being here. That's wonderful.
Yes,
We
it's
love
good
it
to
when
be
people are
here.
Yes.
As my dad said, it's a good day and you're in it. So, you know,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
It's 5:07, so we can begin.
Ta-da!
Did you want to speak, Heather?
I'm just looking forward to having horses again, and
Okay.
I'm glad to be here. I mean, Sandy and Allie came down, and I
Great.
just want to have horses in my life again, you know, so and I'm all set and I
Fantastic.
fixed it up, and so here I am. This feels
Thank you
like
for
the
being here.
pandemic teaching.
Yes, it does. Sandra, do you have any comments?
No, Heather's got a very nice facility. You know, a beautiful setup, and she's had horses in the past and we've never had any issues, never had any complaints.
Here's
Oh.
Rialto.
Oh,
Oh, beautiful.
There you go. That was
That's
me when I
gorgeous.
was in shape. Right.
Oh, my goodness.
There you go.
So we love to hear these types of reports that everything is stellar. Chris, do you have any comments?
I do not. I'm familiar with this
Okay.
property and the areas in which they kept the horses. I do not have any concerns.
Fantastic. Could we have a motion?
Finding that the animal control officer has stated this is a nice facility and that there have been horses in the past with no issues and no complaints, I move to approve the animal permit for Heather Cronin, plot 66, lot 40 on 1289 Reed Road.
Thank
I
you.
second the motion.
Fantastic. Michelle Keith votes yes. And Emily Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
Richard Romero, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Permit motion passes. Permit is approved. Congratulations. Enjoy the holidays and your
Yay,
babies.
thank you very
Yes.
much. I
Take care,
appreciate
Heather.
this. I'm so glad I
Okay.
got on the Zoom. I was like, oh my God, here we go.
You did it. You did it.
I did it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
care.
you, everyone. Thanks, Sandy. See you
Mm.
soon.
you're welcome. Have a good.
Okay.
So we're
Bye.
moving- Bye-bye.
Or
We're
do we-
moving along. And the next appointment is at 5:12, but I will read into the record all the details. It's Ruby Nadeau of plat 109, lot 34 at 5 Cornell Circle in Dartmouth, requesting a domestic animal permit for 14 chickens and 1 rooster. So we do have to wait till 5:12. Is anybody from Ruby Nadeau's the Ruby Nadeau party present for this particular? I mean, they don't have to be present until 5:12, but I just figured I'd check to see if they're here right now. Okay, we do have to wait the next 3 minutes, folks. We know maybe in these 3 minutes, we can jump to approve the minutes of November 13th, 2024. Emily, Michelle, do you have any comments on those minutes?
Actually, I think I may have found a possible mistake, or at least it was certainly a point where I was a little bit confused. Sorry, let me pull them up.
Okay.
I believe it was on yes, it's on marked page 4 of the minutes, or if you look in our original agenda, the non-revised one, that's the full packet. If you look at the bottom of page 18 going into 19, it says that, if I'm reading it right, it says that Richard Romero is absent, but then he votes yes.
Received.
Any other comments?
Mm-mm. I don't have any.
Okay, Richard, I was about to say, Emily, Michelle, you're all done? So Richard, you don't have any comments? So could we get a motion to accept the minutes with the correction of page 18, between page 18 and 19 on to regarding Richard's attendance?
I move to approve the minutes for Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, with the correction of item B update for Richard Romero's status on page 4 to 5.
Okay.
I
And I'll
second,
second that. Oh, go. Richard seconds it.
I second the
Fantastic.
motion. Yep.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Richard. Michelle Keith, I vote yes. Emily, Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Richard, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
So those minutes have passed. So we've got that done. Let's see here. We still have another minute to wait. Oh, it's 5:12, so we can go forward. Is anybody here from Ruben Nadeau's party in reference to the domestic animal permit for 14 chickens and a rooster? Okay, not hearing any. Just waiting a few minutes, okay. Not hearing any response. Sandra, do you have any comments?
I went out there with Ally from the Board of Health. I spoke to Mrs. Nadeau. She still has 2 roosters there. She has 1 rooster that will be leaving as soon as her work schedule allows her to get it to the person that she's giving him to. I believe she had more than 2 roosters at the time the complaint came in.
Okay,
So while I was there, I asked her to put some fresh bedding inside the coops, which I did go back by there yesterday and confirm that she did do that.
great.
I don't have an issue with it other than the fact that that 1 rooster leaves. So maybe putting on a condition like we did with the last one with the rooster.
Okay,
So that we don't have any more complaints from the neighbor. That complained, I think the complaint, she had told me that she's had the animals for quite some time, but was always less than 12 and she didn't have a rooster. And then all of a sudden the rooster shows up and that's where we get complaints from.
okay. Chris, do you have any comments on this?
So if the board is to consider allowing a rooster, then again, I would ask for the timeframe consideration to be consistent with the last permit that was approved earlier in the meeting that requested, the keeping of roosters.
Emily, Michelle, and Richard, do you have any questions?
Just one. So Sandy, to clarify, you're suggesting we add, if we move as a board, that we add a condition that the second rooster be removed, or are you, I may not have understood what you're suggesting as a condition.
Yeah, I believe that, we'll probably give her a couple of weeks to remove that second rooster and then place that condition on the first rooster, the 1 rooster until June, like we've done with the other applicant.
Gotcha.
But just so that she only has 1 rooster there. She did state it was gonna be gone.
Okay.
Her work schedule's been kind of crazy and her husband's been sick, so she hasn't been able to get it to the other person that she's given the rooster to.
Okay,
And so if this permit is just for 1 rooster, and we have the condition, I have it written down still that it's again only until June 30th for similar reasons that we talked to with the other one. Do we need another condition for that second rooster since they're not part of this permit, if, is that a necessity?
I think that would be a question for Chris.
Um, yeah, the problem is that, we can't, I would say if the board is concerned about the removal of the rooster, then we could table it till our next meeting, at which point table this application till the next meeting and use that window of time for the removal of that rooster.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So, given the circumstances, I'm going to make a motion to table this. Could I have a second, please?
I'll second the motion.
Fantastic. And Michelle Keith votes yes. Emily, Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Richard, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
That's fantastic. And hopefully between now and in January, Ms. Nadeau will be able to get that rooster to where he belongs. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Sandy.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Chris. Okay.
Thank you.
So now it's 5:16. We have the next appointment that will be coming up at 5:17 is Carl Bevilacqua. And it's about Plat 88, Lot 43 at 20 Gosnell Ave. It's a waiver of 310 CMR 15 and the Dartmouth supplemental regulations. 310 CMR 15.1022, which is one deep observation hole as opposed to the required two. So we have to wait until 5:17 to begin this. We're not far from there. Chris, is it okay to just mention that we do need to have a board approval? I know we got the signature required for the following, the betterment release for Plat 60, Lot 1 through 47 at 36 Deerfield Lane is up. It's 5:17. We should just go forward with the appointment. Is somebody here from the Carl Bevilacqua party?
Yes,
Okay, did you want to speak? We can't hear you, hon. You must be muted or something's going on, yeah.
Yeah, he's muted.
Okay, there we go. Is he? No, yep, he's
Oh.
unmuted.
is
Fantastic.
it okay now?
Yep,
Yes.
absolutely fine. Go ahead.
Okay, we're just asking for a variance to use one hole. It's pretty much standard procedure for repair. There was another soil test done about 20 years ago in the same yard, and the results were pretty much the same thing. All the property next door is similar. So,
Okay. Chris, do you have any comments or feedback?
I do not, I've done a lot of soil evaluations and perk tests throughout Salters Point myself. The soil is extremely consistent out there. And in the case of this property, with, an existing underground water service, it really makes it a little bit more difficult to get it. And, it would add more disturbed soils underneath and, ultimately jeopardize or compromise the naturally occurring pervious material. So I don't have any concerns with this.
That's fantastic. That's great news. Emily, Michelle, do you have any questions?
Nope, they just got answered. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. And Richard, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Fantastic. Can I get a motion to approve this?
Yes, so finding that the engineer has stated that soil tests from 20 years ago yielded the same results, and finding that the health director has stated that there are consistent soils and that it would be difficult to get another deep hole observation without disturbing the soils or potentially compromising the naturally occurring soils. I move to approve the plan for Carl Bevilacqua, Plat 88, Lot 43 at 20 Gosnell Avenue.
Can we get a motion, a second for that?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Fantastic. Michelle Keith votes yes. Emily, Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Richard, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Okay, so the motion passes, permits approved, or the waivers approved, and we're all set with that appointment. Thank you so much for being here.
thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, so now we're jumping back to new business. we started to talk about the board approval. I know it's point C for the betterment release. Chris, do you have any comments about this?
I do not.
Okie dokie. Emily, Michelle, do you have any questions?
It's just that we have to come in and sign something. Is that my understanding?
I don't think we have to have a finding on everything, but if you feel more comfortable having a finding, I certainly, support that.
No.
No. We have to come in and sign something, is what I asked. I don't think I asked about a finding.
I don't think we have to. I think we've
Oh, you
discussed
do.
this.
You
do?
want- So yeah, so the board does have to come in and sign the release because that does have to get recorded at the
No,
registry of deeds.
no, we do have to sign it, but I don't think we need to have a finding.
No.
Madam Chair, I don't think I asked about a finding, I think, or unless I came through funny.
Okay. So I think we can just have a motion to approve it. I'll make a motion, please, to approve the betterment release for plat 60, lot 1 through 47 at 36 Deerfield Lane.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. Michelle Keith votes yes. Emily, Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and Richard, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Fantastic, that's done. So now we have the last thing on the new business is the amendment to the town of Dartmouth garbage regulations. Chris, what's going on?
So we have existing garbage regulations and the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection has regulations that require a asbestos inspection prior to disturbing any suspect building materials. So if you're renovating, a house, for example, or demolishing a garage, you have to have a licensed person go out there and conduct an inspection. A lot of people are misled in their belief of what materials contain asbestos and when asbestos materials ceased in the building materials. So, example, most people think of snowman boilers and pipe insulation. Asbestos is found in everything, including under the kitchen sink. It is widely used as a mastic under kitchen sinks and window glazing and older windows, floor tile, building papers, even some asphaltic-based roofs. And those are widely misunderstood as, by people believe that they don't contain it. We've seen asbestos in houses built in the 1980s as recently as about 2 weeks ago. So as we try to, protect the public health from the fugitive emission of asbestos, we're trying to figure out how we can best do it. And it kind of came to my, thought that we could simply amend our garbage hauler regulations to require the haulers to obtain the survey from the homeowner or the contractor before placing the dumpster upon the lot. And I know that there are other communities that have other requirements to obtain a local dumpster permit, for example, before. That's not what we're asking. We're just saying that if the board feels that, this concern that I'm raising about, people bypassing the asbestos survey requirements, then we could put this into our regulations quite simply and swiftly. And that the burden would be on the dumpster company to obtain it. And that if we discovered that they had a dumpster, they would face, a number of possible actions. We don't like to ratchet up enforcement right to the top step. We would work with the dumpster companies to, phase this in and only escalate enforcement after long-term non-compliance. But I really do believe that if we were to put this provision in, within, a few months, these dumpster companies would catch on. There are fewer and fewer dumpster solid waste hauling companies because of the consolidation of business. Big business is just, buying out all of the smaller hauling companies. And as such, I don't see this as a major hurdle or obstacle in their operations. But more importantly, what I do see this as is a significant opportunity for the board to protect the public from the fugitive emissions of asbestos.
So Chris, I have a question. Would this
Yeah.
be a requirement for anybody who is going to get a dumpster to have to go through
It-
this procedure, and how much would it cost?
No, so it's already, so it would, if you're doing a basement clean out, you're cleaning out all those old clothes and all the kids' toys that,
Yeah.
you meant to get rid of. It would not be required for that. It would be
Okay.
required if you're undergoing a renovation or a demolition.
So
And
how about what would happen if somebody would lie and they would say, I'm just gonna be cleaning out materials, I'm not gonna be doing a renovation? How would we capture that? How would we catch that?
so we're aware of, we have access to all the permitting, so we know what's going on. So,
Okay.
if, and then the dumpster company, when they go to pick up the dumpster, they should be saying, hey, where's your asbestos survey? They should already be doing it now.
But that's after the fact, so people have been potentially exposed to the asbestos, maybe
Right, but
even
we-
not understanding.
Right, and we can help limit that, because when that
Okay.
truck loads that can on the back, and then drives it down the street, you certainly have an opportunity for much more significant release.
Yes.
Yeah, we've actually had to quarantine, quarantine containers on properties several times over the last 2 years. One of which finally just got resolved, that had asbestos in it.
Mhm.
Once the asbestos commingles into general construction and demolition debris,
It's
it's
very, very
awesome.
dangerous, very,
Yeah.
very dangerous. I had a dear friend who passed away at the age of 50 from lung cancer. And it was primarily attributed to the fact that she had remodeled a very, very old home in her late 20s and early 30s, and was handling material that she probably didn't know had asbestos in it, because she was never a smoker. She was a very healthy person. And in retrospect, we feel that that's what ended up killing her. So this is a very, very important issue for the safety of our residents in Dartmouth, and just in general for public health in Dartmouth. So I just don't want to make it more difficult on people living their ordinary lives trying to get a permit for a dumpster to just do a basic cleanup, because then people start to get angry and they're like, bureaucracy is getting in the way. This is crazy stuff. And I'm interested in knowing, how much do these permits end up costing, or these checks on the asbestos end up costing?
Well, the asbestos inspection, it's
Yeah.
already required by Mass DEP.
Okay.
The cost of the inspection is determined by the complexity of the structure.
Okay.
I'd taken the asbestos inspector training. Up until COVID, I maintained my eligibility for licensing, but I never followed through with it, because it's a $600 license.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to the complexity. So it's the layers of the onion. So, sometimes, I know of a property right now, right within a mile of here, where they just applied vinyl siding over transite asbestos shingles. We know because of the testing of those shingles, and they're allowed to do that. But in 30 years, if someone wants to remove that siding,
Yeah.
they're going to have a horror show but let's say they're going to knock down the house. That's why
Yeah.
you have to go through the layers and
Oh,
finish
really?
it up.
Oh,
So each sample is not that expensive. It's just the number of samples and getting the inspector to the site. But these
yeah.
inspectors
That's what I was wondering too. My next question is how hard it is to get these inspectors.
they're in town almost, several times a week.
Okay, so you can get an inspector, and is it like more than 200, more than 1,000? What's the general
You know,
rate that they charge?
I've heard numbers from, just below 1,000 to,
Okay.
going north of that. And again, it's, I remember a gentleman I spoke with not far from here, and he was, in denial about asbestos in his house. He was doing a complete gut of the house and removing all the drywall. Well, lo and behold, the drywall, the walls, the ceilings all had asbestos. And in
Oh,
short of it, at the end of it all, he said, I'm glad, because, I would have exposed my family to all this dust,
absolutely, yep.
my children. And and like you said, with asbestos exposure, you don't know about the problem until decades later, because that's how long
Yes.
it takes for the, asbestosis, all the diseases associated with asbestos exposure take decades to manage.
Yeah, it's very, very sad. So, Emily Michelle, do you have any questions? Emily, we can't hear you if you're talking.
Thank you. I had background
Okay.
noise. I muted.
Okay.
I just a couple hopefully quick ones. So how is asbestos containing material treated differently than regular construction material, Chris, right now?
Great question. So it's going to first depend upon two criteria. Is it friable or non-friable? And, you know, friable is rare. We seldomly see it. Maybe every 3 or 4 years, we may see friable asbestos. Friable asbestos is going to be your pipe insulation. It's easily it crumbles or pulverizes under hand pressure. Non-friable is going to be like your floor tile. So if you've got floor tile, for example, or windows that you have to remove, you do that intact with special licensed contractors. When you get into friable asbestos removal, that's when it gets into negative air. So you have to set up its own individual atmosphere to do the removal. And then upon completion of the removal, you have to have an air clearance test by a third party. And then all of this material gets bagged, waste manifested, put in a large 100-yard container. Eventually, once that 100-yard container gets full, it's driven off to usually somewhere in Ohio, I believe Minerva, where it's put into a landfill, a special waste landfill. And then those waste manifests go back to the remediation company and to the homeowner.
Excellent.
Okay. Next question. So there's already an inspection that is required, and so such amendments that we're maybe considering right now wouldn't be so much of a reach. They would just be kind of an extra check on top of something that is already in place. Is that an accurate summary?
It would be a better way of assuring that our solid waste haulers are not hauling materials that have been untested.
Okay.
Because, unfortunately, the way in which the regs are the way in which the regs solely exist in 310 CMR 715, they don't dovetail into any other permitting schemes for, let's say, a building permit. So the only thing that we can do is, with public health, is if we're concerned about this, how can we get it into one of our permitting schemes, where we have a lot of grasp on an industry, and that would be through the waste haulers.
Got it. Okay. And then just out of curiosity, when was the last time that the board, maybe not even its current members, reviewed the garbage regulations for our town?
I'm going to say around 2017, 2018.
Okay. So it's about time. All right. Thank you. Those are all my questions, Madam Chair.
Richard, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just to follow up. So the onus would fall on the waste haulers and not necessarily the homeowners, or is it equally kind of their responsibility to make sure and ensure that there's asbestos, or document that there's asbestos being removed?
So it ultimately falls on the homeowner or the contractor
Okay.
to, get the materials tested. So what we're just doing is we're saying, dumpster company, you have a privilege. We issue a license, and you're subject to certain terms. If the board put this term into the regulations, which we would have to draft and then bring back to the board, then what we're requiring the dumpster company to do, the trash hauler, is to obtain that survey before they drop the dumpster on the lot for demolitions and renovation type projects.
So basically large projects.
Right. If you're building a new home, you do not need to you would not be subject to this.
So like a weekend warrior that's doing like their small bedroom or something like that wouldn't be required, but
they're still required. Well, they are required to test, but I'm not going to be naive and believe that everything is going to be 100% compliance. I don't. There's going to be stuff that slips through the cracks.
Yeah. Okay. But something like that would be smaller scale than as opposed to like a whole house remodel.
Right, yeah, someone that, the average person is gonna, hire someone to come in and, modernize their kitchen and bathroom. And, those are the types of projects we'd be catching.
Yeah, okay.
And with
Alright.
we get to see, costs, and I am shell shocked at how much it's costing to, put a new roof on a house, just to do a bathroom and a kitchen. The build, labor and building material costs are so expensive. I'm not trying to make light of $1,000 or whatever it might cost, but when you're looking at what this survey costs in the grand scheme of these projects, it's not a lot. And when we're talking about health of the community,
Yeah,
how do you even argue that? Well, 1,000 is a lot to me, but hey, someone's health is more important in my opinion.
bro.
So
Great.
we're going to be sending this to town council to draft, Chris?
I would write up a draft set of language
Okay,
based on this discussion, if the board is so moved to advance this, and then I would present it to council for final
okay.
language, and then return.
Are we going to put some sort of date? Is there a date that we know that asbestos was no longer used in construction materials? Or, I mean, how is it going to be all properties, or is there going to be some sort of indication that, properties built after 2020 do not need, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
So
how are
up
you going to?
Yep. So up until this, I think it was in the 1990s that the EPA
Okay.
tried to ban asbestos, and it was overturned in the Supreme Court because the
Yes.
manufacturers could prove that they needed it and there was no alternative. There was some federal regulation that changed and allowed the EPA to come back, and in 2024, they were now able to ban asbestos. However, what industry regulators are already saying is, okay, yeah, but what about how long does it take to burn through new old stock? So what's meant by that is, there's already materials on shelf, and how long does it take? So I imagine at some point in the future, a date might get drawn.
Okay.
But the good thing is, your risks for removal diminish with newness.
So there won't be any date in the draft.
No, not at this
Okay.
point. Yep.
Okay. Fantastic. So you need a motion for this, Chris, or you just want to draft it and bring it back?
If the board is in consensus on this and there's no opposition,
Yeah.
we would not need a vote.
What are everybody's thoughts? I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Same.
I think there's some very good arguments that it would protect public health.
Okay, so we look forward to getting the draft, and I suppose once we get the draft, we'll have to do a full motion on that and have that sent to town council.
I would return to the board with a final draft that had gone through council.
Okay, so you're going to send it to town council and then bring it back to us. That's fantastic. And then we'll have a motion to accept it or deny it. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so that leaves us with one last item, and that's scheduling our meetings for January and February. Chris, do we have any deadlines we need to meet in January or February?
Yeah, we're just pulling up. So a 10th, that would put us at the 9th, no later than the 9th. So is there any availability for the 6th, 7th, or 8th of January?
Tuesdays are always better for me than Wednesdays. And if we do it on Wednesday, I have to be done by 6.
It's funny because Tuesday's harder for me. You mentioned that
Yeah.
Monday. Is that Monday a possibility?
I'm tied up on Monday from 5 o'clock on. Any other days I'm available at any time that week. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We're all doing the best we can. I mean, Wednesday, the latest I could go would be 5, but I have a firm commitment at 6 p.m. every Wednesday.
So Tuesday, oh yeah, Tuesday's very tricky for me. I mean, I could definitely work with that. How early can other folks start on Wednesday so that we can, be done by 6?
I am wide open on that Wednesday. And
Okay.
Start at
Tuesday, and
4?
Tuesday.
Could 4 o'clock work on Wednesday so that way there's more buffer
Yep.
time for our chair?
Yep, 4 o'clock works and that gives me the chance to get over to the 6 o'clock. So that's good. Yeah, Wednesday, January 8th at 4 PM.
Okay.
Okay, is that good, Chris?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and now jumping to February, do we have any deadlines in February, Chris?
Well, I would just try to keep it on a no long, like a 4 week. So if we could just, duplicate that day or go a day earlier. So it would be like 27 days. That way there we don't have any default animal permits.
Yep, how does February 5th at 4 PM sound?
That works for me.
Works for me too.
Okay, well, we'll go with that. Chris, is that okay with you?
That works.
Fantastic. Okay, are there any other issues, miscellaneous issues that we need to discuss or old business issues that we need to discuss, Chris?
None at this time.
Okay, anybody else have any sort of comments?
No.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I get a second?
I second the
second.
motion. Oops, sorry.
Okay, fantastic. Motion is, we have to make a vote for that. Michelle Keith votes yes. Emily Michelle, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Richard Romero, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Okay, so the meeting has been adjourned at 5:41 PM. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Take care.
holidays, everyone.
Okay,
Bye now.
thanks. Bye-bye.